Hi, this is Megan Jacks, Creative Memories Independent Advisor, and I'm here today with a video to show you how to use the Twinkle Lights border punch with the jumbo circle to create a ring of Christmas lights. This technique we're going to use is going to be one I've used before with the border punches. I'm just going to show you how to do it with the Twinkle Lights. It's very easy. You just need to have the jumbo circle. You're going to need to have Twinkle Lights, of course. And we're going to use the 13 by 13 cutting mat along with our red blade. I will encourage you to try this with a spare piece of paper, maybe some extra cardstock. So we have the red blade, and I'm going to be using just a spare piece of white cardstock. That's going to allow me to show you how the marks go on here, and you'll be able to see those easier since I'm using the white cardstock. So I've got my jumbo circle, and I'm going to line it up here. I'm centering my cardstock on my cutting mat. And I'm going to go ahead and line up. I've got my points marked. I do have a video in my jumbo circle playlist that shows you how to mark your template. You will also be able to use the marks on the 13 by 13 mat if you don't want to mark your template. But we're using the red blade on the outside track. And we'll go ahead and give that a whirl around the template. Now I am holding the template in place, and I'm going to keep it in place after I make my cuts. So I'm just checking, yep, my outside released easily. So now what I can do here is I can go ahead and I can use my, you would use a pencil. I'm using a marker just because I want you to be able to see the lines. And we're going to come in here and we're going to mark every 30 degrees. So I'm just going to write on here really quick, 30 degrees. That is the trick with these our regular border punches. So the regular border punches are just over 2 inches wide. And these work best if we do 30 degrees, red blade on the outside track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark every 30 degrees. And every 30 degrees, think about it, is like a clock. So if you've already got your template marked, you'll have those 30-degree lines. Otherwise, they're gonna come in, you're starting over here. If we think of this as the 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark. And I am gonna mark on both sides of my template. You don't have to. It'll become apparent in a little bit why I'm gonna do that. The way we're gonna punch with this particular punch, I'm gonna use my ruler to come across and extend these lines. And so if you don't want to mark both sides, that's okay. Just make sure you mark one side. You can use the ruler to extend and you'll be able to get those spots in there. So I'm just go ahead. You have 12 spots to mark. I'll just do these last two on the outside. So there you can see that I've got, well, you can kind of see, it's hard to see in the video, but I do have 12 spots on here marked. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab a ruler, and I'm going to use the ruler to extend these marks towards the middle. And the reason I'm going to do that will become apparent in a little bit. So I'm going to do top and bottom, and then I'm just going to work my way all the way around. We've used this before, this technique, and this is going to help us keep the punch nice and centered and equal. One of the tips, I cannot state it enough, by taking the time to mark our spots, it's just going to allow everything to be more consistent and you'll get better results. So that's the whole purpose of doing the technique this way rather than just starting to punch all the way around in a circle and seeing how it works. This is going to make sure we're nice and evenly spaced. There will be some fussing cutting we'll have to do at the end, but it's worth it. This is a little bit of a tedious, lot of fussy cutting and gluing and things like that, but it is worth it. So here you can see we have this marked all the way around. Now, the other thing I want you to do is I want you to look at your Twinkle Lights punch. And when you're looking at your Twinkle Light punch, what I want us to be able to do is we're going to find the middle. With the Twinkle Lights, there really isn't, it was harder for me to necessarily find the center on here. So I went ahead and took my zero center ruler, I laid it on the back, and I used a Sharpie. And so the punches are just over, they're actually just over 2.5 inches wide. So I lined it up to 1.25 inches on each side. It's just a hint over 1.25 inches on each side. If you have that 0 center ruler, it makes it really easy to find that center spot. I did the center spot on top and on bottom. Here on the plastic, the white sides, I used a Sharpie to do that. So that's just going to help me when it's time to make my punch. So I'm going to open my punch up. I'm going to flip it over so I can see the back side, and I'm going to go ahead and insert my circle here. And what I'm looking for is I can see I'm going to line up that nice straight line here. I am going to double check where I can see the curvature coming on either side here. That's kind of my second spot to notice whether or not I've got this even. I don't have my circle tilted one way or the other, but that straight line is really going to help. That straight line that I did here in the middle. So it looks good, and I'll go ahead and punch. And I'm just going to keep working all the way around, taking that little bit of extra time to get those straight lines on there does make this easier. It makes it faster. Now this is my second or third round doing this, so I'm a little bit quicker. Take your time though, line it up, practice on your cardstock. And you just keep working all the way around. Now I'm not going to complete all the way around. What I want to be able to show you here is you can see how I've got those wedges in there, and that's really difficult. I don't think there's any way you're going to avoid having the wedges in this with this punch, but they are pretty easy to cut out. So normally you go all the way around. And then what we will do here is after you've completed your entire circle, you'll use a pair of scissors. The microtip scissors are perfect for this. And I just cut out those wedges. So I started and cut the outside first. And I went all the way around. You'd have 12 spots to cut those outside pieces of the wedge. And then you would come in here. I'm going to release this real quick from my... I would come in here and I need to cut out the inside of the wedge. And it's just a little bit of a scoop cut. You want to try to maintain that inside curve of the string of lights. So there you go. You see how that works. Now, you would eventually get to the point where you have your the twinkle lights go all the way around. Take the time to make all those cuts, just like I did here. So I cut this in dark green, was my twinkle light, so that I have the cord of the Christmas lights. And then what I did is I took various colors of cardstock. I took 5 different colors. I like multicolored lights. So I took 5 different colors and I punched a 12-inch segment of them. You really probably only need 6 to 8 inches of the lights. You can see I didn't end up using all of the lights. But when I was putting this together, it was just easier for me to punch a 12-inch length. And then what I did is I used my scissors and I cut the bulb out. I did not cut the bulb housing. So what, the little part that screws in here, you can kind of see where that is. I just cut the bulb. And I did a little scoop cut to give it a little bit of that curvature that we expect to see out of light bulbs. And you can see there, the light, how I did just a little bit, just a tiny bit of a curvature, just gives it a little bit more realistic look to it. And I cut a bunch. I think you have 72 spots that you need to put in Christmas lights. So depending on the number of colors you use, you'll have to divide that out. So I needed like 13 or 14 of each of my colors. I will recommend a little hint here. I used 5 colors. I used an odd number of colors, and that worked out great because as you can see, when I go around my lights, my red color, which is I did kind of in rainbow order, is on the opposite side. If I had used an even number of colors, I would have had reds on the outside. They would have been the same either outside or inside all the way around. This way, using the odd number of colors allowed those colors to kind of, be on the inside for part of it and then be on the outside for the rest of it. So that is how you do the twinkle lights. I will tell you, I used the glue pen. I went ahead and just put a big dollop of glue on the lights and then kind of let it dry so that it was clear and it remains tacky. And that made it super easy for me to go ahead and put the lights all the way around. You could use repositionable adhesive if you wanted to. So just kind of experiment with a little bit. And you can see here, I have just a tonal piece of paper from the Joy to the World collection to give you an idea what that would look like. I use the dark green. It has a nice contrast to the tonal paper, this tonal shade of green from the Joy to the World collection. So it's a great way to use some cardstock scraps. You'll have lots of fun with it. You can do the lights however you want in whatever colors. Like I said, I love the multicolored lights. That's my favorite part of Christmas lights. And I cannot wait to see what you create with this, ways to use it. One of the things I will say that I think would be fun to try is now that we have this curvature, to play with it in different sections. You can come across a corner. You can cut it into, play with it even more as you come across a page in various ways. So just have fun. There's various ways you'll be able to play with it a little bit with the using that jumbo circle and giving it a try. Thanks for watching.